is the Motovation Podcast, hosted by Laurie Joy Kingwell and Krissy Vann. That's me. And we're taking you on a little off-roading.
And every single week, we're going to be joined by our dope friend, Richelle from True Grit Moto.
Woo! Hey, I floss.
And every week, we are going to ask each other stupid questions, and we're going to answer them. And why, you may ask? Because we can. All right, this is your Motovation.
Off-road edition.
All right, guys. Gals.
Okay.
Folks.
Ladies.
Okay. Oh, wait. Why am I looking on that? It's not on
My
that.
turn.
Yes.
No, you had your turn, girl.
No, I haven't.
No, you haven't.
Okay, this question, I feel like I would love to hear the answers of this question because I feel like it's a controversy right now. Or maybe it always has been. I don't know.
Wait, before you say it, I just want anyone that's listening, when you was like, it's a bit of a controversy, everyone's just getting like, oh gosh, it's going to be a heavy question until you hear what it is. So
It is.
now going to
It's very heavy. It's very heavy. Everybody stay tuned. This is question for Richelle, True Grit Moto. What's your thoughts on buying organic?
It's funny because I know it is controversial.
It is.
It is.
So the
No, it
question is, do you believe in it? Is it a trap? Do you buy it?
I'm okay. Do I buy it? I don't seek it out. And here's a couple of reasons why. I could go either way. And because number one, nutritional value wise, let's say we're talking produce, and honestly, meat scientifically, they have proven one versus the other. Your nutrition content, same deal.
Okay.
Misconception, people think that organic means no pesticides. In fact, most of the time, it's actually more pesticides. It's just their natural pesticides. That's why they have to use more pesticides.
Michelle's face is amazing right now. You know the emoji where like the top of the head explodes off? That's
But
Michelle's
keep
face
in
right now.
mind, when I say pesticides, you hear it and it's like this super negative connotation, right? In our brains. But it's
Yeah,
just
no
the
one likes
same,
a pest.
right? When it comes to lawn care maintenance, it's the same, or even road maintenance, how we use beet juice now on a lot of roads. It's just like a natural substance that's used, but it does,
We'll come back to
beet
that.
juice.
We're going to come back. We're going to circle back, but
Fun fact, if you didn't know, it's a
No,
really
I
good
didn't.
line.
no, I didn't know beet juice was for the roads. I love that you casually
Yes.
put that, because the beet juice is for the road. I didn't. No,
Yeah.
I did not. Well,
It is a good brine for the roads based on a certain temperature.
what's a
fun
brine?
fact. Like to avoid, like basically a de-icer or anti-ice.
You don't say.
Yeah, because they didn't
We're
want to
going
always
off
be putting
topic
the
here, Laurie.
toxic salt there. the moose and the salt and all the other animals.
I love
Anyways,
that.
We're going way off topic here.
Okay. So then,
So I was like, so those two reasons, and like, I will say in Canada, I know that we have some of the highest standards for farming practices and organic farming practices, but I just feel, and it's kind of known as well, that unless you are really doing ample amounts of research, simultaneously, organic is a word that means charging more and people will seek it out. So in order to achieve what you're actually looking to achieve by buying organic, you may run into a couple falsehoods or misconceptions along the way if you're not actually paying attention to where your food has come from.
so if I go out and I buy organic, there's a potential that they could have just put organic on anything. And then you're just paying more money for something that really isn't.
Well,
Organic.
I would say probably in Canada, you're not going to run into that as much because that makes me think of like made in Canada labeling, like label laws and stuff, how that's a big hot mess where it just has to be packaged here by 55% and all that jazz.
Right.
Organic doesn't really have, as far as my knowledge, that much of a connotation. We're pretty good for it, but it's just most people hear organic and think it's free of all the things. But in reality, there are still farming practices that keep pests away and all this stuff. And depending on, you know what I mean? Like people don't necessarily understand what they're acquiring. You also can have organic produce from a farm where their neighbor farm isn't organic and is spraying pesticides. Well, guess what? Air travels. So the moral of the story is whether I buy organic or not, wash your shit.
You know what's something really bad?
That's the note.
I don't wash my fruit quite like I don't I'm just like, what? My brain goes like, what is that really doing? Just like giving it a rinse. Like if you ever had like a dirty body and you just give it a rinse, like you have to scrub.
Yeah.
How do you scrub?
Do you scrub it?
No.
Krissy, do you scrub it, Chris?
No, I eat all the shit. I'm probably going to have health issues.
I just look at it as like it builds my immune system. you know, as a kid, you licked windows. You
I have
walked
no
around.
pests in my body as
eating
far
dirt.
as I know.
Yeah.
Like there's no weird little
them
wormholes.
I
So,
understood. I
yeah.
remember one time an article or something. I don't know. I said article, but maybe it was something on television. I'm not sure. But I remember the description of like all the things Krissy said in for the most part, like it still comes with, shit on it. I'm more the layman's term when I speak to it. All the shit on it. It's got crap on it. Yeah.
The feces.
Stuff and shit. But they were essentially like, if it's got like if you don't eat the peel of something, then it's not really worth it to buy the organic. But if it's
Fair.
something like say strawberries or something that doesn't have like a barrier in between, then if say apples, strawberries, raspberries, then it's better to go with the organic. But if it's something that already has like a rind of sorts, banana, orange,
banana,
then it doesn't, you're not really helping yourself off that too much. I just laughed because when I cut the little thing off our bananas today, it said organic. And I was like, organic? Because I was like, I don't buy organic. And then I realized it was one of those things where, because we get our groceries delivered, that they must have
Right.
like,
Got
they ran out
fancy
of the other ones.
bananas.
Cause I was just like, what do we got fancy bananas for? I don't buy no fancy bananas.
but you
Well, and I
recognize it and you were like,
Yes.
do we even do that?
Yeah,
So
I was
I
like-
wanted to know.
Dave, did you get bougie?
People
You could
always
do
think
an
it means
organic now.
healthier, like as well. Like, and I mean healthier in the sense of like nutritionally.
Yeah.
A lot of
it's
times we
not.
hear those words and people are like, only organic. But I was like, you just need to know the motives and just kind of be aware that what you have might not necessarily be what you're thinking of in your mind.
All right. So this time, truthfully, it is my question.
Yes.
Okay. What was one of your favorite and least favorite Halloween costumes you've worn in the past? Do tell.
I've really
have
only
so
ever
many.
worn one.
What?
Oh, right. The one that she wore to the old folks' home
That's all you've ever worn?
since she was 2 years
I'm
old.
just kidding.
I was like appalled.
She was 2
Like,
years old.
hold up. Wait a minute.
It was sad.
No, I haven't had very many though, Like I feel like some people have like a variety. They're like, let's spice it up every year. I think I've done like 3. I think I did the vampire, I did the apple, and then ever since then I've been a pink taco.
Of course you have. Wait a minute. What about your childhood?
Vampire every year.
Every year you were a vampire.
Very scary
into it.
stuff. I like the vampires.
That's why you did it. You were like, I've nailed the accent.
Very
It's all I'm
scary
doing
stuff.
from now on.
Into the shadows or whatever it's called,
Oh,
is
that's
9,000
funny.
years old.
That would be
I'm more
so
of a
funny.
Count Chocula, like a
Yeah.
ha ha ha.
Yeah, I love vampires. Who doesn't? You can look bougie, you can look ridiculous. I don't know.
True.
Remember my deep fear in my childhood as vampires? How would we ever have been friends?
True.
I would have been, as soon as I saw you at Halloween, I'd been like, friendship's off. Can't
And I
do
just scared you, and you'd have been like, okay, this is a pretty good time, actually.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
And then you go and redeem yourself.
Oh
Krissy, what's yours?
I have so many. I probably talked about it before. I love Halloween.
Yes,
It's
that's
just
right.
like
That's right, you
full
do.
on escapism. So to be honest, I've done a ton of homemade costumes. So one of my favorites was I was a disco ball. So I bought a exercise ball and paper mache'd it.
Oh.
And then cut out the top and the bottom and made myself little armholes, and then went to Michael's. And so I spray painted the whole outer shell silver and then hand hot glued mirrored Bristol board in little squares so that I could be Disco Fever.
Oh my God. Where is that costume now?
Oh, it did not survive the night. So there was a flaw.
They rarely do the homemade ones. They're incredible,
was
but
a
they
flaw.
rarely.
The problem with that shape and your arms being through the holes and a sphere
Been
is
there.
you can't wipe your own bum.
Oh,
So
right.
at first it was like, bring a buddy to the bathroom system. But then as the evening progressed, things got messy. You just start poking holes in your mache.
Right.
I didn't expect it to go there.
I didn't poo.
But I'm so happy it did.
Oh, I thought maybe you shit your disco.
Copter disco.
This disco
You're like,
is
party
so shitty.
pooper.
You're like-
Disco fever to party pooper. That's the headline.
That's impressive. I get that. Okay, yeah.
Those costumes that like you remind me, one of my best friends, Krista, she and her sister make the most incredible costumes, and they were always handmade. And it was just like the creativity was out of control. Like one year they were a toothbrush and toothpaste, and
Oh,
her head came
nice.
through the bristles.
Oh, I love that.
And it was just like,
Oh, you could be
It
the
was-
floss.
yeah, man, it was like they're just super creative. So that was your favorite. What was your least favorite?
I don't have a bad experience I can recall. There is one photo from my childhood where I'm like, really? You couldn't have fixed that? Bless my mom's heart. She made me, and my mom's not a home. I didn't get the skills either. Like, you know what I mean? Like all
Right.
those things that they say as women we should be amazing at, which is ridiculous. She was the path leader of being like, I'm going to be terrible at all of this and not teach you any of it. So the DIY, I was so impressed though. She made me an angel costume. The wings were made
Aw.
out of aluminum foil and cardboard. It was lovely.
Okay.
But she put on the same pink lipstick shade that she still wears to this day. Bless her. But it was all over my teeth. So in the photo, I just have mass lipstick on the teeth. And even as an adult, I'm like, this angelic time. And you weren't like, maybe just a little.
I love that.
This angelic time.
I love that.
Oh,
How about
Wait,
you?
When you said so my worst was the same sort of idea. I was too young to necessarily, I kind of vaguely remember it, but I think I remember it more because of the picture. I was a pumpkin, and I was
Fun.
about 3 years old, and I had this little top of the pumpkin hat and then the big pumpkin body. And I am right pissed. And I'm looking at my brother and my two cousins, and they're like superheroes with masks on. And then I think one's like maybe a princess or something with a mask on, but they all got these cool masks. And I was just this like shit pumpkin in my head. And I was so pissed off
Shit
because I didn't
pumpkin.
have a mask. So I'm just like sitting in this picture, like, this is some bullshit. This is some bullshit. And like, I remember that mom even referenced it, like, you're so mad. You're so mad you didn't have a mask. I was like, yeah, man, I was young enough to know that like, I'm not at the cool kid table.
You're like one of these.
I am
things is not like the
Absolutely
other.
not. Yeah. I was just like, this doesn't add up. My favorite though would be, I was only about probably like 9 years old, and I was Catwoman. And my
Oh.
mom made like all the pieces, like for my hands, and the wraparound big belt that, and the
Yes.
headpiece with over my eyes and everything. But the best was we went to Metmart, and I got to buy these kitten heel boots. Remember what kitten heel is? Tiniest
Yeah,
little
yeah.
heel you could have ever had. Because she has heels on. I was like, I need heels. Mom's like, I don't think you do. And I was like, I promise you, you do. Look at the video. Because this was back. This was like, this would have been when Michael Keaton played Batman. Like, I love the
yeah.
Batman series
Michelle-
back.
what's-
Pfeiffer.
Michelle
Michelle
Pfeiffer, yeah.
Pfeiffer was Catwoman.
Oh, nailed
And
it.
yeah, I was pretty young, but I was just like, rare. I even had, she glued on those like Halloween black nails to my gloves.
Yes.
Oh.
I showed up
Aw.
at that school dance, and I was like, bitches, what?
See, it's the persona. It's so fun.
Oh,
to dress
yeah.
up.
I was
I
like-
love it, even not on Halloween.
Right? I look back, I'm just like, what a badass thing. As a kid, what a weirdly, somewhat inappropriate, but more badass.
Weren't they all? We went.
I
through
love
the-
that. I love any Catwoman costume. I'm always like, you nailed it. I'm such a
Right?
fan. Yeah.
Oh, so yep, that's it.
Meow.
Meow. All right, Krissy.
What is a career path you almost took, but you're glad you didn't take?
Oh, so there was a few that I was like, oh, maybe, but then I was like, oh, there was kind of this like sliding doors moment, if you will. I was working at the clothing store in town called Phoenix Sports, and I was really close with the owners. They were like a family-owned business, and I'd been working there since I think I was like 15. And I came back to work for the summer and it was just before I was leaving for college to go into early childhood development. And my boss called me and he's like, "Hey, I know you're leaving for school, but I do want to offer you this opportunity to like become like the person that ran the clothing and like did all the purchasing. And I would get like, you know, the raise, what would be in North Battleford." So essentially like what I would have been going into, like, I was going to work in North Battleford as the clothing store gal. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I so do.
And I was like, and it was one of those things where my brain was like, oh, this is like super cool. Like I get to run the clothing department and it was this big, it had like sold snowboards and blah, blah, blah. It was like, you know, the store in town kind of thing. Right. And I was like, oh, you know, like that'd be cool, you know, and you know, I wouldn't have to go off and do a lot of thinking at school. That was who I was as a person back then. And so it was like this kind of thing of like, maybe, you know, maybe. Yeah. And everything inside me was like, get the fuck out of this town, you know, bless our town, because it, you know, like there's many things I love about it, but I was not built to stay in that town. Like I would not have fared well mental health wise. And it's one of those things that I look back and I'm like, because I genuinely was like, maybe. And it was just like, thank God. I think I would have flown out of that town.
I just don't see it for
no matter
you.
what.
No
matter what.
For you.
But like, even just like the trajectory around like my life in early childhood and how much that's been you know what I mean? So it was a bit of the slide, you know.
But there's temptation in those moments when it's
there is,
like,
because it would have been a real easy.
You're like, it fits my needs. I'm here. Like,
I love these people. My friends are here. Like, this is, you know, I know this job.
It's cool.
It's cool. There's a, you know, 40% off clothes.
It was comfortable, and that's why it wasn't right for you.
Yeah. So it's like,
I gotta be uncomfortable to do the things.
Moving on up.
Moving on up. Okay. I was doing accounting at a Ford dealership because a friend of the family got me the job, and she was the controller, and she wanted to like like, you know, what is it called where they kind of like show you, it's like she was showing me how to she was showing me how to be there. So I was doing like, you know, the computer, it's like DOS when you're doing accounting for a dealership. I was like, okay, so she got my name on the window. I was the office right beside her. I was upstairs with all the people, and
talk about moving on up.
Yeah. So then I was like, this is what is really good money. Like being a controller of a dealership. It's, you know, like you're doing just fine. And so I was trying to do it I tried to do it for quite some time. I tried to be very serious. And then one day I just cut loose. And I put jubes in my bra and walked around like I had hard nipples all day, and I got fired.
Stop! Did you really get fired for that?
Yeah. Yeah, I got fired because it's, you know, it was inappropriate. It was very inappropriate for the position I had.
Yes. Okay. I guess.
I love that happened for you. That is this isn't one of our motivational podcasts, but a story like that is exactly why you have to stay true to yourself, because I can't see you somewhere where you have to pretend to be something you're not that whole time.
No.
Fuck that shit and look where you are
know,
now.
I was like walking around and I was like, anybody?
I hope next time my bike rolls into True Grit Moto, you're jubed up and lubed up on the bike.
As if somebody had like put a banana in their pants and then they were walking around and was like, anybody want a banana rub? That like,
I wish.
should probably be fired.
You can see why they were
I showed up to Monkey Beach though with a banana in my pants.
That would have been worth it.
Yeah, you would have fared better with that. I would have just been, I'm going to go to Monkey Beach with bananas, jubes. I'm going to check that shit in the jungle. They're going to chase that. They don't want me anymore.
I would kill for a jube.
Oh, I love jubes. Hey,
me too.
Got stuck in my gravy molars.
They're addicting. I just was eating them and I was like, this would be really funny. And it was for a minute.
That was your spiritual guides being like, we got to get her out of here. What should we do? Plant this idea in her head. They're like, well done. Always forget it's so easy to get her moving in the right direction.
She's so easy.
You just got to give her one little idea and then she's off and running. Off and running.
So much.
Yeah, it was good.
I love that I took it as a joke and then you're like, no, really. And I was like,
No,
that
for
made
real.
that story 10 times more.
That's why they have probation.
Yeah. She was like, I
Just
was
for those
arrested.
moments.
Yeah.
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 went
I did
well.
hard time.
I really wasn't chosen for that path. So,
Hard time.
but that was a time. So I just thought, Anyway,
Well done, you.
thank you.
Mine's so boring now. I wanted to, it's just the way it goes. I wanted to get into broadcasting and I had worked on cruise ships as a port and shopping guide previous to that. So basically I had a little shopping channel on the boat and that's how I
So
worked on my
cute.
first demo
Nice.
reel.
I
the
love
demo
that.
reel is hilarious when you see it. I'm like, Perazul, buy this purse. It's like the funniest.
Please share.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. I have all the shit. But when I left, I was like applying aggressively to things in my field, but it was just so hard to break in and you have those moments of defeat. So I went through like 4 different levels of the training to be a flight center travel agent. I had the headset and the whole little jam. I was like, I'm going to just work in a little travel center and book vacations for people. And that was almost my path.
Oh
It
my
would've been-
gosh.
Right. I was like, there's little elements where I feel like I would join in people's wanderlust and watch them achieve their dreams, but my personal dreams would have died along the way. So
Yeah.
I'm glad I woke up and kept trying and did not quit. But
I
it was
love the
close.
job that you
I
have
went
now
so
for you.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's changed a lot during COVID, but in its prime. In its
Okay.
prime. Yeah.
All right, Richelle.
All right.
Not forgetting about you this time, buddy.
I forgot about me.
I'm not
That's
gonna
why
make
she
that
has
mistake
a
again.
list.
All right, we're ready for it. Okay, this is about sports. No, never mind. That's the next one. Okay, this one. So this one's also controversial this time, you guys.
Something's on your mind.
I know. Have you ever been mansplained? And give us an example.
All the time. Absolutely all the time. I actually couldn't find a specific, because it's just so often that you almost like, it's getting better. I have to say it is getting better now that, males are aware that this is a thing and no one appreciates it or no one's like, oh, thank you so much. It happened in a certain capacity, actually, with a buddy just not long ago. What did I mix up? I was like, I can't remember, but I mixed up something of what it was called and what it actually was or whatever. Right. Like I said something, it was wrong. And he was just like, oh, it's not what it is. And I was like, oh, it's not. Don't tell me. But it was just like,
Tell me, please.
it was just one of those vibes that I was like, I would love you to do that to another dude and him not be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're extremely impressive, but like pull it back,
Some of them are so good. I'm like, I love that just happened.
Oh, like it was just this like, okay, buddy, I get it. Like, but it wasn't like, it's just like, oh, you just had that vibe of like, oh, look at how she thought she knew something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like,
preposterous.
And I'd love to say that like, oh, maybe I was being sensitive and I like, because obviously I'm a feminist, but it was like, no, it's just that shit that just is. But people are like, there's so many explanations of why it's not what you think it is, or there's so many excuses, or it's always just been a thing that no one ever questioned now. So now that you're fully aware when it's happening, you always were aware, but now when you're just like, ugh, there it is. And like, he's a super great dude, but it's still that ingrained shit where like, you wouldn't say this if Dave just said it. I promise you that. You wouldn't be like, Dave, Dave. No, it's yeah.
You just went off-roading with the Motovation Podcast, hosted by Laurie Joy Kingwell and myself, Krissy Vann.
And of course, a special thank you to Richelle from True Get Moto.
Whoop, boss it.
Never miss an episode by hitting like or subscribe. Connect with us on Instagram at Motovation Podcast and visit our website at themotovation.com. And in the meantime, full tanks, full throttle.
I think this is good though. It's like healthy, you know, like people will be like, oh my God, I don't floss.
Plus, it'd be so hard not to laugh to get through this intro.